What is going on, my YouTube family? I know it has been a minute, well, not a minute, 7 days since I've posted, and I am in San Francisco at the airport, recording off my phone because my chargers are dead for my camera, and I just want to make a quick video since my flight is delayed, so I'm waiting around like another hour, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make a video because I haven't put one up, and why not kill some time? If the quality of this video is like somewhat sketchy, that's why. What I wanted to do while I had you guys all here was kind of do a little video because I've been training some clients lately, and if you're interested in that, you can hit up my email below, AydianAthletics@gmail. And there's two questions that seem to be coming up a lot. And the first one is, when do I weigh in? And the second one is, when do I train? And I wanted to address both these questions because I thought, you know what, these are really basic concepts that if they're not explained to you, then how are you going to know what they are and when to do them properly? You know, when it comes to weighing yourself or measuring yourself or taking photos, I mean, that's progress. That's how you know if, you know, you're progressing or not, right? So it's important that you kind of know when to do those things. Okay, so, and then as far as like training, I mean, if you don't know when to train, then how do you know that you're going to be optimizing your growth and your strength and everything related to why you may be training, right? For weight loss or muscle gain or strength gain, whatever that may be. So, I figured, you know what, I'm going to take a minute, I'm going to answer these questions and get these answers to you guys so that you have a better understanding. When to weigh yourself, when to measure, when to take photos. It's important that you don't pay quite as much attention as to the number that's on the scale, but rather the scale itself. Meaning, use the same scale, okay? First tip, use the same scale. Record yourself on the same day at the same time wearing a very similar outfit, like in your boxers or your underwear, or just completely naked, okay? This could be the second thing. So the first thing is use the same scale. Second thing is going to be weigh yourself at the same time. So if you weigh yourself on a Monday in your boxers, make sure you weigh yourself on Mondays in your boxers, okay? Also, the third thing to think about is weigh yourself in the morning. Or if you weigh, like, so the most ideal time when you're going to weigh in the least is when you're waking up at the normal time you normally wake up. So if your average wake up time is 7 a.m., if you're waking up at 7 a.m., you're going to the bathroom, 1 or 2, okay, numbers 1 or 2, and then you're weighing yourself first thing in the morning. That's going to be the most optimal time, is to pick one day a week, be after you use the bathroom, when you first wake up, in the least amount of clothes you feel comfortable weighing in. That's going to be your ideal time. Now, whether that's on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it doesn't really matter, okay? But I also want to say that it's more about consistency. So if you only have availability to weigh yourself on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. because that's when you're at the gym and you want to use that scale, then make sure you weigh yourself every Thursday night at 8 p.m. and you try to have, you know, basically like if you normally weigh yourself after you eat your large meal, make sure you're always weighing yourself after you eat your large meal as opposed to weighing yourself before you eat your large meal, because you're going to weigh different if you go and record yourself on Thursday night at 8 p.m. but this time you had your huge meal beforehand as opposed to last week when you weighed yourself, you had it after. That's going to give you a different result. So it's about consistency. So weigh yourself in the mornings, after you use the restroom, in as little clothes as possible, on the same day, around the same time, okay? If you can't do it in the morning, in the same clothes, do it at the same time, in the same day, okay? Try to keep it a routine. Like, again, it's about consistency, it's about using the same scale, because the other thing is if you weigh yourself at the gym, it's gonna say you weigh $150, and then you're gonna go home and weigh yourself in the same hour, and it's gonna say you weigh $152. So that's the other thing. The number will fluctuate based on the scale you use, so try to use the same scale. So for me, I like to weigh myself on Fridays, right before my weekend, because I know that on Monday I'm going to weigh in heavier because I usually have some free days or free meals on the weekends, right? So I'm going to probably weigh in heavier on Mondays. So I'm going to let that dial down. I'm going to weigh myself Fridays. I go to the gym after breakfast but before lunch. So I usually always have the same meal in me, but I've used the restroom, and I usually, like if I'm at the gym, I make sure to take my hat off, and like I'm just wearing my shorts, my shirt, or my pants, my shirt, and my shoes, and that's it. And I weigh myself every Friday. That's what I do. Not every Friday, but at least every other Friday. Usually every Friday though. So that would be my advice on when to weigh yourself. The second question that I get a lot is, when do I train? When's the most optimal time for training? And you can find different things on this. You can read that if you eat carbohydrates, so training later in the day is going to be better because you've got food in your system, you've got some power, some strength, some energy to pull from. All your glycogen is all full, and you've got a lot of energy. You're going to get a nice pump. But then you might also read that, hey, testosterone levels are actually higher in the morning. So technically, if you want to use it to the best of your most optimal range of your testosterone, then actually doing a workout in the morning might actually be better for you, right? But I think that, and I say this basically because I used to wake up. I've woken up at 5:45 and trained. I've woken up at 7 and trained. I've also trained at like 8 p.m. consecutively. I've also trained at like noon consecutively. I've had chunks of time where I've trained super early in the afternoon and not super late, but like 8 o'clock, 7, 8 o'clock at night. And I've done all three. And what I can tell you from this is that there was no like better time. I will say that for me in the mornings, my strength was not as big, so I wasn't putting up as much weight in the mornings as I was in the afternoon or the night sessions, right? But I will say that in the night sessions, I didn't have quite as much endurance and energy than in the morning sessions. In the morning sessions, I wasn't able to put up as much weight, but I was able to go for a lot longer. And in the night sessions, I wasn't quite as low. I was able to put up more weight, but I wasn't quite able to do the endurance-ness of it. Like doing cardio at 8:30 at night was like the hardest thing for me ever, but doing it at 8:30 in the morning was super easy for me. So I feel like what it comes down to is actually, when is it best for you to train? When can you get there? Do you feel best? Some people can wake up and they're ready to go, right? They've got all the energy for the day, and that's when they're peaked, and then they go down from there. Some people like start groggy and then kind of peak in the afternoon and go down. Some people are like night owls. They're like dead in the morning, in the afternoon, and then at night, all of a sudden their energy goes up, right? They don't like drop until like 1 or 2 in the morning, okay? So you need to go when you're gonna be able to go and when you feel the best, okay? So for me, I've noticed that I really like training in the afternoon for the reasons that I mentioned earlier. I have a little bit of food in me, but I'm not crazy full. I'm not just waking up, right? So I'm kind of like, I've woken up, I have a cup of coffee in me for a couple of hours, and then, I have enough endurance and strength, but I don't have not enough endurance like I do at night, and I don't quite have not enough strength like I do in the morning. Get a really nice pump. I've noticed that if I go to the gym after 4 or 5 p.m. is when all of a sudden things start to shift, right? It's like a little close to dinner time, so I don't quite have as much fuel in me. Just notice that for me, like the ideal time is around this noon to 3 p.m. time frame. And for me also, when I wake up, I'm really good. Like I wake up and I start working. I kind of like, I turn my computer on with my cup of with my glass of water and then my cup of coffee, and I'm already working. I probably have already been working for about 15 minutes by the time I finish my cup of coffee. So I like to do that. I like to get a lot of work done in the morning. Then I have this nice little break. I have my lunch. I go to the gym. I come home. I have my post-workout nutrition, and then I go back to work. And then my next break is for dinner. And then usually after dinner I go back to work. But whatever, the point is that it works really nice for me. I have, I'm able to use up the best time that's best for me. Because now if I went to the gym, I used to go to the gym first thing in the morning, and then like it took me a while to get started on emails and started on work. It's really nice for me in the afternoon, but that's also the pleasure that I have, right? I mean, when I used to work 9 to 5, I had to go to the gym at 5:45 because I couldn't get to the gym after, because I would go to work from like 9 to 5, and then at 5 o'clock I have to go home and eat, and then all of a sudden it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then I want to go to bed because I got to wake up at 5:45 in the morning. 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym. So I just want to say that it's about consistency. It's about when can you go. When is a good time for you to go? When do you feel the most optimal to go? That's when you should be going. That's the time that is the most optimal time to train. Because again, yeah, your T levels are higher in the morning, and I don't. They always say that. I always wonder about trans men because we take our T, so I know that our T levels are more like this. They kind of go in this wave pattern, as opposed to like I wonder if in the morning like we're also still in a wave pattern where a biological male might be really spiked in the morning and then drop down, which is what studies show. So I don't really know if the T for trans men is, but the studies have shown that T is spiked in the morning. So is training in the morning better? At night, you have all this food in you. Is that good? I mean, really, when do you have time? When do you have time? I will say that the hardest thing to do with training is when you train really hard at night and then you try to go early in the morning the next morning. That's the hardest thing to do, I've noticed. So usually picking a time and sticking to that time. So like always at night, always in the morning, always in the afternoon. Your body will get used to it and almost expect it. So if you start off, it might take a little bit of time to get used to it in the morning, but then you get used to it. So again, when is the best time to weigh yourself? The same time, wearing kind of the same clothes, having eaten the same type of foods, like meals. When is the best time to train? The best time that's good in your day. When are you most available? That's the time you should train. All right, guys, I hope that answering these 2 questions have helped you in some way. If you have any other questions, leave a comment below. Like this video if it helped you. Give it a little thumbs up. Share it if you think that it'll help someone close to you. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do. I'm going to be filling up your social media and YouTube feed this whole next weekend and into Thanksgiving week. So I hope that it will make up for this past week where I was kind of MIA. And we'll explain a little bit more about that later. All right, guys. Catch you in the next video. Peace. The quality on this is not that bad. I mean, like, it's not as crisp. Like, my face looks a little more, like, wrinkly, so it's not, like, as crisp, but